Misfits 22. The Ring of Thrones, you win or you perish.
Tommy Fury is out there missing in action. I think that running that one back is something that Till's interested in.
For you, and I think there's a great opportunity for a superstar to be made here.
And boy, today's the day. Main and co-main event for our August 30th event have been announced. It will be ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Misfits News. And boy, today's the day. Main and co-main event for our August 30th event have been announced. It will be Luke Rockhold and Darren Till in the main event, and Salt Papi taking on former UFC interim champion Tony El Cucuy Ferguson. Man, these are some interesting matchups, so let's take it to my co-host, Biel. Biel, what do you make of this barn burner on August 30th?
Finally, I mean, Misfits 22 is such an anticipated show because we've been asked so many questions. Don't worry, I see every tweet of, where's the announcement? Who's fighting on it? Well, finally, we know a little bit more, and as you just announced there, Tony Ferguson versus Salt Papi. I want to start off with that fight because that caught me off guard. We haven't seen Salt Papi in a little minute since Qatar, which was almost 8 months ago now, and he did an incredible display against King Kenny, which was a fight I thought was going to be a lot closer than it actually was. Knocked out King Kenny in emphatic fashion, and now he's going against Tony Ferguson, someone who was an absolute legend of the UFC. He won the Ultimate Fighter Championship in season 13 in 2011. He was a former interim UFC lightweight champion in 2017, winning that against Kevin Lee, and he never lost the belt in a fight. He was actually stripped due to injury down in 2018 and was on a 12-fight win streak. However, Ben, I want to send it to you. It's not all positive when it's Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, I think that the reality of this is Tony is riding an 8-fight losing streak to the who's who of the 155-pound division, right? Most recently suffering a first-round rear naked choke to Michael Chiesa. That was August 3rd, 2024. He was linked to a GFL Dylan Dennis fight, which kind of went up in smoke in May. And now here he is entering the boxing ring for the first time in, I believe, his career. I'm not confident if Tony has boxed before or not, but I think a lot of fans are going to look at this and go, what is Tony Ferguson doing? What is maybe the organization doing of putting someone that is having such a big, I would say, dip in their career against a superstar in Salt Papi? But, I think that it is kind of important to remember that he's only lost by TKO twice in his career. One of those, of course, was to Michael Chandler, and then the other to Justin Gaethje, which was waved off in round number 5. So it's not like he's been getting put out over and over. It's been the submissions that have kind of cost him as of recent, which is going to be completely eliminated here. So, I will say, this is tough for a 41-year-old Tony Ferguson to make his boxing debut against a guy like Salt Papi. But let's not forget, he was an interim champion, even if that was maybe many moons ago, Biel.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And I think there's a great opportunity for a superstar to be made here because Salt Papi started off so strong at Misfits. He was the next big thing. And then he came off a couple losses and he's starting to come back. Now, I'm just going to set the scene a little bit here. He goes out there, starks out Tony Ferguson in similar fashion to how Ilya just fought the other day. Imagine first round knockout. Now, what superstar Salt Papi comes? And it's similar to what Jake Paul did when against some of those older UFC retired people. And he built his name. And I think that's what's being done here. However, if Tony Ferguson does win this fight, then he's in the Misfits world. Then there's some fights for him to be set up at.
And he's a character. I think the other big element of Tony Ferguson is this unorthodox nature to both his personality, his fighting style, even his training routines. This kid's off the wall. And I think that does connect a lot more with the crossover world than a lot of the traditional MMA spheres. But I will just add this again, to be always fair. It's very different from Ilie Topuria KOing Charles Oliveira if Salt Papi can get past
Absolutely, but I'm imagining the style of knockout, the emphatic fashion that Salt Papi could do it in the round one. I'm only saying it because I was so excited by that knockout a few days ago.
Sure. No, listen, I think that this is a great opportunity for Tony Ferguson in a different discipline. He's taken some time off. Now he gets to rebuild himself in purely striking, and so he won't have to worry about what has cost him in 3 of his last 4 fights, right? So I am I'm curious to see how this plays out because I know that most fans are going to respond to this probably negatively, and I would just say let's just wait and see. We've looked at Salt Papi in the past succumb to pressure and the clinch fighting that Anthony Taylor brought in. I personally don't think that he's faced an opponent in his comeback that's on that same level as AT. And then obviously, Slim knocked him out afterwards. But no disrespect to Amadeus Ferrari, Dawood Savage, or King Kenny. All solid, minus Dawood, but they don't possess, I would say, the ability to really operate effectively in the clinch like AT did and like Tony Ferguson certainly possesses. So I'm curious to see how it plays out, but I am expecting maybe some people to be a little unhappy, Biel.
Well, let's just gear to the double main event because it's not only just one main event, it's 2 main events. The other one being Luke Rockhold versus Darren Till. Now, Darren Till, this is his 3rd fight main event in a row on Misfits. I mean, he'd had a fantastic fight against Anthony Taylor, a fight that he completely dominated. And then his 2nd fight was an absolute all-out war out in Derby, and he got that last second punch to win him that fight. I'm excited to see him back. And now Luke Rockhold, a name you've been asking for, Ben.
This is somebody that I have been screaming from the rooftops to get into the Misfits world. He's been all over the combat sports space in Karate Combat over the last couple of years in BKFC, was appearing at the Craig Jones Invitational as well as Polaris. So he's just doing everything and anything. And it would make so much sense to have a boxing debut, glove boxing debut, be a part of this next chapter in Luke Rockhold's career. And I think it comes against such a great name in Darren Till, who, again, has revived himself inside the squared circle. And for Luke, he hasn't really had too many. I don't know. I think people would maybe say that there's paths to victory for both here, Bo, right? Yeah. Darren Till has the experience now in boxing. I think that he has a lot of crack, pop, and power, which Rockhold has displayed some durability complications in the past. But, the last time we saw Luke Rockhold striking was an emphatic 3rd-round TKO over Joe Schilling in Karate Combat of April of last year. So he's got that momentum, I'd say, from his last striking appearance, right?
No, I'm interested to see how Luke Rockhold performs here because that's a name that we actually threw for KSI to potentially come against. Mm-hmm. So if he can't beat Darren Till here, surely that has to be a name because we know JJ only wants the biggest names now. He needs to recover. He's having his hand surgery very soon as well. And we saw in the last event that JJ actually faced off with Darren Till. So I think this is a really good matchup to see maybe a potential KSI future opponent.
And I'll add this, the question that keeps getting asked of us is how can we level up Darren Till's opponents? How can we give the gorilla a bigger bite than last time out, right? It was the debut against Anthony Taylor, who's coming up several weight classes on short notice, replacing Tommy Fury. Then it was a UFC veteran in Darren the Dentist Stewart. And now it's a former UFC middleweight champion in Luke Rockhold, who has been competing since I want to say 2007, excuse me. So, a guy who has so much experience, has been to the top of the sport, and is now looking to make that boxing debut. So I'm just deeply excited for this one. I think that for Till, this is a huge name, and I know that the combat sports audience is going to be attracted to this one. It's a compelling matchup for both, and it's certainly not easy in any way, shape, or form. So we'll see. But I just got to say, I really like this main event, both main events. But this one, Darren Till, Luke Rockhold, it is exactly what I think we need to be doing.
Absolutely. Now, let me set the scene for you once again, Ben. If Darren Till does go through Luke Rockhold, what do we do with him there? We really have unleashed a beast at that point. If he goes through in the same way that he's been doing the last few fights, where do we go? Who do we put him up against?
Well, I mean, if it's a war like it was last time out and both guys are trading success in exchanges and it's a competitive outing, that's one thing. But if he goes out and just cleans Luke Rockhold, finishes him impressively, then I'm really going to be asking the same question. I think that Tommy Fury is out there missing in action. I think that running that one back is something that Till's interested in. He's vocalized that he wants Mike Perry. He wants Masvidal. I think he wants Tyron Woodley as well to avenge those setbacks he had in mixed martial arts. Maybe Derek Brunson. I don't know what Derek Brunson's up to, but that could also be a funny opponent to put up in the boxing ring. But I to answer the question, if he gets by Luke Rockhold in impressive fashion, what could be next, I'm not too sure. We'll just have to wait and see on August 30th.
Well, I think that's enough from us. Why don't we send it to the head honcho himself, Mams Taylor, to give some words of his own.
Misfits 22. The Ring of Thrones, you win or you perish. The pound for pound number one in the Misfits universe right now, Darren Till. Will he become the bona fide pay-per-view star by beating his biggest challenge yet in former UFC champion Luke Rockhold? Now, Luke Rockhold can box, Luke Rockhold can fight, and Luke Rockhold certainly has the gift of the gab. This is going to be pure entertainment in and outside of the ring. You don't want to miss this. And let me tell you something. This is a double main event. The second main event of the evening is going to be none other than former UFC interim champion Tony Ferguson taking on Super Salt Papi. Papi has an incredible opportunity to really elevate. And Tony Ferguson as part of the Misfits universe, are you kidding me? We are so honored to have Luke, Tony, Salt Papi, and Darren Till on one card. More news to come. Make sure you tune in. The Ring of Thrones. You win or you perish.
Excellent to hear from Mams Taylor ahead of a bombastic return. Biel, Luke Rockhold, Darren Till, Salt Papi, Tony Ferguson. This is a great way for Misfits to come back and kick off the last half of 2025.
Everyone was asking, where is Misfits 22? Well, we got two main events. We thought we'd spoil you, so I can't wait for it to happen.
I love it. Well, for Biel, I've been Ben the Ben Davis. X Series 22 coming up very soon. We've got so much content in the pipeline for you guys. So we'll see you next time on Misfits News.